Okay. Is it?
Yeah,
It's live.
it's live.
Okay. But yeah. So welcome to my YouTube channel, I guess. Yeah, it's my first video. I don't even know what I'm doing. But
we don't know what we're doing. We're just gonna talk about random shit.
yeah, we're just gonna talk about random stuff. Stuff that we saw in 2024, like because running a business in 2024, how that was, what we do and all of that, and pretty much yeah. So I'll basically get started. So my name is Gautam, and this is my friend Nathan, and we are co-founders of Leads for Agent, like our company, our agency. It's basically a consultancy where we help real estate agents with their basically building a sales funnel, so helping them get clients online, and that's what we do in a sort of summary. But yeah, so right now we're just going to get food, I guess.
Yep.
Chick-fil-A, I guess we're grabbing. It's pretty far from us. It's like about 30 minutes from here. It's almost 30 minutes. So we're just gonna grab that, and like on the way, we're just gonna talk about like how our 2024 was for the business in general, and how for our life in general, and like what our goals are going into 2025. So hey, yeah, you've been silent for a while, so
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I mean, realistically, what do you think about 2024 in terms of like just how far we have come to from the business?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, we've made a lot of sort of leaps in our business over the course of the year. I mean, now like we have a solid team now. I mean, yeah, speaking of team, like I know I'm gonna digress now, but like what I really realized in 2024 was like the importance of having like a team, like when you're scaling a business, right? Like, wow, that guy. Okay, sorry, just I can't drive is insane. But like having a team when you're scaling a company is like the most important thing. Like that's what I realized this year. Like, because we've always been, especially when we started the business, we were always under the impression that hey, the more effort or the more work that we put in, the more sort of money we'll make. And it was true to a certain extent in the beginning, especially. But the more time went by, the more we started to realize how important having a team is when you want to scale your company, right? To 6-7 figures, especially. Because, you can, once you sort of master, or like once you sort of become pretty good at, what you're doing, when you're running a business, you don't really, need to hold your business back, right? Because what we noticed, especially like once we started scaling aggressively, is that the biggest sort of drawback for our business, which held us back from scaling, was ourselves. Because, for example, like in the beginning times, Nathan used to solely take sales calls, and I used to solely take onboarding meetings. And at that time, our income was capped by how many meetings he could take, right? Which is like 8 slots a day. And the number of onboarding meetings I could have was capped by only me, because I could only have a certain amount of slots every single day, right? So that was like our biggest drawback that we had, that I'd say. But then once we started building a sales team, once we started building a back-end team, the way we scaled completely changed. Because do you think
No, yeah. I mean, building a team is always nice because it's almost like you increasing the hours of the business. How I thought about it is like, okay, I can do 8 hours.
Yeah.
So if I have another person, now we're doing 16 hours of work in one day.
Yeah.
Right? So when you think about it, you're thinking, okay, I can do this much work in 2 months.
Yeah.
But if you have another person with you, you can do that work in the work that you would do in a month.
Yeah.
In a month. Right? So that's really why I think, and that's the whole thing, right? That's how you literally scale. You can't scale by yourself.
Yeah, way impossible.
You can't say I'm going to make 100K by yourself. You need a team for that, or 10K even, or 20K or 30K. You can't do that. You'll need someone to do with you. Otherwise, you're going to notice too much things will break.
Yeah. Like what will happen is, like, since you're the only one doing like the nitty-gritties in the business, you don't have time to focus on the specifics, right? The other things that matter in business. I know it's very cliche, like, and especially we used to think that it was cliche, especially me, right? Like the sort of mindset, or like the inner workings of the business. So for example, we think about making content like this, or like making more educational content for our realtors themselves. All of that stuff I thought was cliche, and all we had to focus on was client acquisition. But I couldn't be more wrong, right? And I've learned that especially over the course of this year, especially. When we started aggressively scaling our company, that's when I noticed that, because all the cliche things that especially a lot of people think
the culture.
Yeah, the culture, the mindset, the having meetings with your sales team, like your daily meetings. You might think, oh, is that necessary to have daily meetings? Like, those are all like some of the most important things you'll do, because one thing is team, second thing is having that company culture within your own company, right? If you don't have a group of like-minded people, you will never scale. Like, you can have a team of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, but if the values aren't aligned, if the goals aren't aligned, and there's no incentive for them, they're never going to help you. Because again, a lot of people, or I think 99% of people actually cater to their self-interest, right? So building a team comes down to finding a way to catering to your self-interest, but also to theirs, right? Also to your teams as well. Because if you only cater to your self-interest, what's in it for them, right? A lot of people ask that. At the end of the day, like, people care about what's in it for them. And
I think that's why in sales meetings when I have with them, I'm very upfront. I'm like, you need to make money.
Yeah.
I need to make money.
Yeah.
We all need to make money. So we're gonna figure out a way to do that, right? And then just make all that systems, and they usually make them believe that it's possible.
Yeah, like when we throw out these numbers, like when we talk to our sales team, even like, oh yeah, you can get a 10K in like the next 2 months, and I know it sounds like, oh my god, 10K like in 2 months. What are you guys talking about? Like, it seems like a lot, but then we break down the numbers, we break down the deal volume, we break down the ticket price, and it makes sense, right? So it's all about setting that culture up and making sure that you're setting expectations with your team, making sure that everyone's on the same page, making sure that the values are aligned, making sure that there's incentives for that person, because no one will stay with your company if there's no room for growth, right? If their income is capped, especially with salespeople, like if their income is going to be capped, they won't join your company, because what's in it for them? They can just go work a normal job, and then they'll get the same sort of income. Actually, no, it's even more secure, because their income's actually fixed.
Yeah.
But you need to incentivize your sales team to make more, right? You need to make their earning potential limitless, or else there's no point in joining your company as a salesperson.
And then always the part of the thing is always show that there's room for growth.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing. Like even when I take sales meetings every single day with the team, like our team meetings, every single time I ingrain it saying that there is genuine growth in the team, right? You can become a sales rep to a sales manager or team leader, and then from there go into another position of our company, a higher position, right? So always showing that there's a path where they can start making more money, and they can actually be an influence in the company itself is very important. I think almost every other meeting or every meeting I make sure that they understand that, especially when they come in as a new sales rep to our company, because it's almost like you think that, hey, they just have to come in and just have to work. That's not how it's going to work. You have to build that culture of and I think we have a pretty good culture now within our company. And I know the boys, if you're watching this.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey guys.
And I know that they love the product. They understand the product will work. They understand the growth. And something that I think I was showing to Gautam today, was the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It clearly aligns with what they wanted. Okay, you want to make 10K this month.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what you have to do. This many appointments. You make sure that seller is
give
booked.
some context on the spreadsheet.
Yeah. So the spreadsheet is basically, it's just they can input their percentage. What's their closing rate like? What's their appointment rates like? Everything, and they can input that current stat they have, and look for projections. Yeah. Meaning, if they currently are doing this many, they're like 50% closing rate or 30% show up rate, whatever it be, put that in, and then say that you want to make $10,000. It will show you how many appointments you need, how many closings you need, what you need to do every week, in terms of stats wise, to hit that 10K. It's very quantitative data basically, and it just gives them the idea that, because we have something called weekly projections where we kind of, ask them, what do you want to hit? But the thing is, one thing that I noticed is they'll just throw in random numbers for the sake of throwing a random number in, right? Oh yeah, I want to do 100 calls. But what does that even mean? Like, does that equate to them making $10,000 that month, right? Does that have any value, any meaning to it? And that's why we can create this sheet that I made. You can plug in the number you want to reach or the dollar value you want to reach, and it will show you if the setters are enough, if this one setter can provide you enough appointments to hit that goal, or do you need to make some calls? If so, how many calls you need to make per week to book that appointment and get some into trials and the commissions that you'll make from all of that. It's very detailed, so that in the weekly projections, when I ask them, hey, what do you want to do this week? They exactly know what they need to do, right? So they can do that, or they could do even more than that, push the limits, right? And it gives us as a company owner, be like, okay, they're hitting their targets because now they have made the target.
Yeah, it's also like we can hold them, hold the guys accountable as well. Like, it's also about like, hey, you said you're gonna do, you want to hit a 10K month, but you've only done X amount of calls, right? But when you said you should be doing, when you should be doing this X amount, right? So it's also a good way to hold them accountable. And even when it comes to the back end as well, right? Like having, because we have like a dog, which we use to track like the agent's progress for their VSL, for their unique sales proposition, all that. So it's also good that it's also very important to keep track of like KPIs, like key performance indicators, to make sure that you stay on top of things. Like whoever's running, regardless of what startup like you're running, if you are a startup founder or like a CEO or something like that, you need to make sure that you're tracking every single KPI, right? And again, one of the things that I didn't think was very important at the beginning, but it's the fact that you need to track your metrics, and that's what you were obsessed with in the beginning too, like tracking all the data.
I was a spreadsheet guy.
Yeah, spreadsheet guy. Yeah, and it's like I didn't really understand that in the beginning when we first started it up, but like the more we got into it, the more I started to understand like the value of having like accurate data, so that you can identify what the bottleneck is in your business, right? Because a lot of business owners, the reason why a lot of businesses fail, for example, is because they focus on the wrong things. There's this thing called like leveraging your time. Another cliche thing that I thought was cliche, right? But it makes more sense now that I'm actually starting to do these things. Is like leveraging your time to find the highest value sort of thing you can do with your time, right? So what like in the beginning, like in the first sort of part of your business where you're maybe one person is like are the ones running the business. At those times, yes, you need to do like the nitty-gritties. Yes, you need to be more involved in the day-to-days of the business. But then the more you sort of delegate your tasks, the more you sort of start buying your time back, the more you need to understand what's the best thing to do with your time, right? Because let's say you run an agency, right? You start the agency off. Yes, the first couple of clients, yes, you will need to do the fulfillment. You might need to do the sales, or your partner might need to do the sales. So it's just you guys. But then the more you get involved, the more, let's say you build a sales team out, you build a back-end team out, you have a client success manager. Once you're done with all of that, you need to make sure that you're leveraging your time to the highest quality possible. Now, what that might look like, for example, that might be producing content related to your niche, right? That might be having meetings with your sales team, having meetings with your back-end team, having meetings with your clients, collecting testimonials, right? Now you're no more involved in the actual day-to-day of the business, but rather you're involved in finding the highest leverage things you can do to help scale your business, right? And I feel like this applies for any entrepreneur or any sort of founder in that sort of middle stage where they're like scaling aggressively. So they're like trying to get to their goal, but they're like not at the biggest level yet. That's the best advice like that I've learned from this year, is like leveraging that time to get to that sort of ideal spot where you want to be at.